Hey, kia ora. Helen Brom's coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1576. How it all started. This is what James Bond number 24, Spectre, is all about. James gets some cryptic message from his past, which takes him on a journey to discover the workings behind Spectre, because all these years, so all previous movies up until, all the previous movies up until we came to Daniel Craig had Spectre in there in some form. Well, no, actually, no, not all of them. Most of them had Spectre there in some form. Nobody knew how it got started or anything else. This movie gets you all the answers. You're probably wondering, what is Spectre? Where did it come from? How did it get started? Tonight, those questions are answered in the movie Spectre. And even in the last three movies, like in Casino Royale, you had Le Chiffre. In Quantum of Solace, you had Dominic Green. And in Last Night in Skyfall, we had Raoul Silva. And they were all behind Spectre. They were part of an organization that was called Quantum. That's what Quantum of Solace is all about. And there's a guy there called Oberhauser. And you find out his origins too. What are his connections to James Bond? Those questions are answered as well. This is a really cool movie because it gives you background to how this organization Spectre got started. What is the connection to James Bond as to why this one got started? So that's a very interesting question and a very interesting story. And if I go into too many details, you'll find out too soon, but you've got to watch the movie to find out. But there is a really cool pre-credit chase scene, of course. The stuff with the this one involves a crowd of people. I think it's Day of the Dead, and one of their parades that they have. So there's thousands of people around, a big chase going on. Ends up in a helicopter, which does some things that I wasn't sure helicopters could even do. So there's some great stunts with the helicopters and that were done pre-credits. Dame Judi Dench does make an appearance as M again in this, even though she was killed in last night's movie, but it's in a flashback for Daniel Craig. So it is the last time that you will see her in a movie. She's been around since GoldenEye, when you think about it. That was in 1995. And so for 20 years, she played M. Because this is in 2015. Spectre came out in 2015. And she started in 1995 with GoldenEye, and she was M all through those years. This one, she comes back as M, but in a going back, remembering time piece. So that's when you get so you get to see her again, which is fine with me because I love watching Dame Judi Dench. You also get to see Monica Bellucci, and one of the things about her is that she is the oldest Bond girl that they ever signed. She was 50 when they signed her up to play a Bond girl. She's actually the wife of one of the bad guys. The theme song, Writings on the Wall, was written by Sam Smith and Jimmy Napes, and it is the second Bond theme song to win an Oscar for Best Original Song. So Skyfall, theme song, Skyfall, that we heard about last night, that got the first Oscar for Best Original Song, and then the follow-up movie Spectre got Best Original Song as well. It also won in another, I think it was the Golden Globes. That was the one. It won a Golden Globe for Best Original Song as well. Writings on the Wall. That's the one. Helicopter stunts. Yep. You will see, Oh, and you find out who Blofeld really is too. Who is Blofeld? How did he come to existence? If you've watched previous James Bond movies, some of the earlier ones, you will know Blofeld is behind Spectre and all of that as well. And but who is he really? Yes, you get to find some, and you get to see some interesting torture techniques. I hate to tell you that, but James Bond does get tortured a little bit in this one, when hasn't he? So it's a good action movie, lots of action. There's even a chase through a forest in snow. where is it a Range Rover? It's some four-wheel drive vehicle, and there's and they're following in a plane, and the plane comes down between the trees and gets its wings clipped, but it's still chasing this Range Rover. It's actually a pretty spectacular chase, that one. So again, lots of action, lots of chase, but some of your questions from over the years: who is Spectre? Where did it come from? How did it get started? Who is Oberhauser, and how is he related to? How is he? What is he to James Bond? Is he related to him? Is he not related to him? What is their connection? And who is Blofeld, and how did he? Where did he come from? What's his story? So there's lots of questions that will get answered because in the other James Bond movies, Spectre's just there. They're just there. There's no thing about the story behind them. But when I got to see this one, I was sort of like, well, this is interesting. There's interesting tie-ins to this. And you get to see, what part did James Bond play in all of this? So yeah, there's a few twists and turns in here and a few surprises. Oh, that's where that comes. Oh, that's easy to know. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be watching tonight. And then tomorrow night, of course, will be No Time to Die. Sunday night will be Never Say Never Again. And I know that one came out in 1983, but because it's not part of the Eon production 25 James Bond movies, that one gets played at the end. And then on Monday night, we're going to watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And you're going to go, why? Very simple. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was actually a children's story. It's the only children's story that Ian Fleming ever wrote. And he had it all written and everything else. And but it didn't it got published a few months after he passed away. And in the movie, you'll see Dick Van Dyke, the main character in that. But you will also see a couple of familiar faces from James Bond movie. Like the guy that plays Goldfinger, he's in the movie. He's the Baron. The Baron's hilarious. And also Q, Desmond Llewellyn, is in this movie as well. And he what is the character does he play again? Oh, I can't remember. I want to say it's like the Toy Maker, but I don't think that's the right one. It's been a few years since I've seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But yeah, so Desmond Llewellyn is in there as well as the guy that plays Goldfinger. And so yeah, it's going to be a fun movie to watch. So that's the reason that I'm watching it. And it's actually going to get added to our James Bond month since it was actually written by Ian Fleming. Even though it's not a James Bond movie, it was written by Ian Fleming and was his only children's book. So that's that. And then on December the 1st, so we get a couple of days break, then December the 1st, we are into the holiday movies. I have a list of holiday movies. There are some that I have to watch every year to get in. And every year the list just keeps growing and growing and growing. But the very first one that will get played on December the 1st will be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, because it ain't Christmas, it ain't the holiday season until that movie is, that's my opinion anyway, until that movie is played. So I'll be watching that. What are some of the other ones that are in there? There'll be The Christmas Candle, which is just an incredible story. If you remember Susan Boyle from Britain's Got Talent, she actually has a role in there, and you do get to see her and hear her incredible voice singing in that movie. That's The Christmas Candle. There's also Santa and Pete, and that's a really cool story. You want to know about the origins of Santa and how he came about? That's basically what Santa and Pete is all about, and Pete is Santa's right-hand man. What else is there? What's the other movies I have in there? Santa Claus with Tim Allen. That's a required one as well. Jingle All the Way is another cool one that we like to watch. I have to go find my list. I have a list somewhere. It's probably in a box. But anyway, that's for another day. We'll find it this weekend, so we've got it for next weekend. But yeah, so National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, we'll start that on December 1st. So the month of December, you'll be getting to hear about holiday movies, different holiday movies, and they range from all sorts. There's a variety in there. There's a good collection, and there's some comedy, there's some drama, there's some mixes. The two that got added last year was Christmas Jars and Last Christmas. And Last Christmas features a lot of George Michael's George Michael's songs. And the people who did the movie were given the permission by the George Michael estate to be able to use those particular songs in that movie. They approved it all and everything else. So that was really cool. And one other one that's in there. There's another one in there. I'm drawing a blank on holiday movies. Oh, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's another good one that's in there with John Candy and Steve Martin. Getting home in time for Christmas. The Christmas Train, that was the other one. The Christmas Train. That's a really cool movie. That was written by David Baldacci, one of my favorite authors. Very different from a lot of his other books that he's written. This one just starts off with this down and out journalist who has to go from DC to LA. He gets on, and the only way he can get there is a train. And he gets on the train and is not a happy camper. And the journey on the train is not just getting somebody from point A to point B. It's the journey that he goes on through the characters that he meets, the people that he meets on the train, and the transformation he himself undergoes while on the train. So it's a really, really cool story. Good movie, great book. What was the other one I just thought of? Oh, Polar Express. That's another required watching as well. I love the Polar Express. That is such the coolest movie. That is such a cool movie. I love that one. I can't think of the other ones right now, but I'll find my list so that I have it handy, ready to go. And there is no really required order of watching, except for the only one that's required watching on December 1st is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, because that gets you in the mood for Christmas. But I have to tell you, the reason that one came up is Zeffie and I were out walking yesterday morning. There was a house in the neighborhood. They had that trailer that you can hire that's like a square trailer and has the cherry picker on top and has the little 4 legs that come out to stabilize everything. They had one of those in the driveway yesterday morning on Thanksgiving Day. And there was a woman standing there like directing the guy who was up on top of the bit of the garage roof there. And he's busy hanging lights. And I can see light strands coming down the side of the house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to look like the Griswolds house. So I've been watching. And then this morning when I was over in that part, I checked out the house, and sure enough, there's light strands coming down the side of the house. There's a few coming down the front, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And the trailer was actually parked off to the side of the garage, in their yard on the side of the garage. So, but when we went out this evening, they were back out there in the cherry picker again, putting up more lights. So, and the house next door has these big Seattle Seahawk stuff up there, and I thought they were flags. That's what I saw them this morning. I thought, oh, somebody's very much into the Seahawks, and they had one which had the Seahawks logo on it, and then the other one had I can't remember what the other one had, but there were these 2 Seattle Seahawk flags up there like that this morning, and we went past tonight and they were all lit up. I'm like, oh my god. So there's all sorts of stuff going up here around the neighborhood. It's awesome. People are getting ready to if they weren't putting them up today, they're getting ready to, because they were in their garages and you can see them pulling down the boxes and everything else. So this weekend, I expect there'll be a lot more lights up and stuff in the front yards and all of that sort of stuff. And I know where my Christmas tree is. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put it. But it's a 7-foot Christmas tree, and it's pre-lit, so it already has the light bulbs on it. I just got to figure out where I'm going to put it. It'll probably go in the family room. I've got a corner there it can go in. See what Zeffie thinks of a Christmas tree, because she's never had a Christmas tree, because we never had one in the RV. But anyway, that's it. We're out of here. We're off to watch Spectre and find out the origins of Spectre, what's behind it, how James Bond played a role in it, what is his connection to Spectre. And so go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, Konara.